Cinematic Shuffle has shuffled once again. Now, when I posted my 3 riddles for this film over on Twitter, a lot of you actually had some guesses, and a lot of you got pretty close, but none were right. Those 3 hints were that it was something adapted more than once, that it took place in Maine, and that it was something that you should check out. A lot of you knew that because it was adapted more than once, and that it took place in Maine, that it was a Stephen King film, and indeed you were right. But the number 1 guess was that it was It. And guys, I already reviewed It, both chapters. Another one of you guessed Carrie, which, yeah, that was adapted more than once as well, but that doesn't match what I was trying to do with hint number 3, which I made sure people knew was important for this film. And you almost figured it out. Rule number 3 states, and I quote, "It's something you should check out." You guys figured it was wordplay, but you thought the wordplay was on the first word. You thought that I was saying that the movie It was something that you should check out. I tried to give you guys more hints here that the checkout was misspelled for a reason. I didn't say you should check it out. I said checkout, as in the checkout aisle of a grocery store, as in the iconic setting of The Mist, the film I'm talking about this week. I'm surprised that wasn't as evident as I thought it was, but without further ado, let's chat about this somewhat beloved Stephen King adaptation. The Mist ultimately focuses on a strange and mysterious mist that covers a small town in Maine, trapping its inhabitants inside a grocery store where one man shouts about something hidden in the mist that is not only dangerous but life-threatening. Slowly but surely, these people begin to realize that there is indeed something monstrous hidden inside the mist, waiting to attack them, and the longer that they're trapped inside this grocery store, the more stir-crazy they become, some choosing to cling to religion rather than reason to explain their situation. Anything to survive. Now, before I go on with my review of this film, I want to remind you guys, keep an eye on my Twitter handle, @IAMDWG, where I'll be posting 3 more hints as to what my next Cinematic Shuffle review is going to be. But onto my review for The Mist. I've honestly forgotten how absolutely nuts this movie is. This is a film that is extremely well made on almost every front. As a monster movie, I'd say that the only negative this film has for me has to do with the visuals that haven't always aged very well, especially the close-up stuff that the movie has to have. Thankfully though, a majority of those visuals happens behind the veil of the mist itself, which helps it maintain a really creepy atmosphere. And even though it is a monster movie, I would say that there's actually much more focus on the character-driven aspect of the film, as everybody in this grocery store has kind of a colorful backstory that lets you either care about them or at the very least love to hate them. Kind of like the Marcia Gay Harden character who plays this crazy religious nutcase that slowly creates her own sort of cult of followers that initially scoff off at her because she's crazy, but when they start getting really scared of what's going on outside, they suddenly become followers of Jesus. And in a way, it kind of reminded me of The Stand, where groups of people are sort of forced to categorize themselves one way or another because of whatever was happening around them that they couldn't control or explain. In so many ways, this film is effectively terrifying, from the creepy crawly to the various jump scares to real-world psychological scares that leave you absolutely angry in the best of ways. I mean, one of those has to do with the ending of the film itself, which everybody wants to talk about after they see it. It's kind of a love it or hate it type of ending for the most part. I think that there's no better way to end it though. I don't want to give too much away there, but it's really bold. Kind of like the rest of the movie, I'd actually say a majority of what happens in this film as a whole is a shock and consistently unpredictable. And everybody does a really great job overall. Again, the only real negative that I have to say about this movie is when you get more of a close-up view of the monsters themselves, and the CGI there isn't always the best. But when the monsters are hidden in the mist and you mostly just see shadows of them moving around, it's really good. It actually reminds me of the monsters that you see in the clouds in Stranger Things. Heck, come to think about it, the plot of this movie is somewhat kind of like the plot of Stranger Things. But let's go ahead and break down my final score for a second, which I ranked The Mist an A-letter grade, final overall score of 95%, 95 out of 100 possible stars. You'll even see below in the bias section that I thought that this movie was nearly perfect. Frank Darabont, who directed this film and wrote the screenplay, he knew what he was doing. He and Stephen King were always kind of a force to be reckoned with. as he was the guy, if you remember, was also the guy that was responsible for adapting the other Stephen King stuff, Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, both of which are films I consider to be some of Stephen King's best adaptations, period. Additionally, Frank Darabont also made The Walking Dead. And that's kind of obvious, as there's actually 3 actors from The Walking Dead in this movie. You got Andrea, Dale, and Carol. I just find that interesting. I mean, at one point I read that Darabont wanted Thomas Jane for Rick Grimes as well, but obviously that didn't happen. Anywho, what do you guys think about The Mist? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next film for the Cinematic Shuffle. And until then, peace out.